Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the B-Rock RC Show, a live podcast for the drifters by a drifter. As you know, I'm your host with the most, the B-Rock. How's everybody doing? How has your work? How has your week been? What have you gotten up to? How was the weekend? Did you do any drifting? Work on any projects? Hope everything's been going well. I had a little bit of an eventful weekend. Uh, had a father-in-law's birthday and had a bit of trouble with the car, but anyway, that's gotten sorted out. So anyway, all in all, it turned out well. Monday has been very good as well. So sometimes when you have a good start to the week, it sets a tone for the rest of the week. Um, sure, I like this light, but it's like glaring in my glasses. How about if I do this? Is that better? I think that's a little better. Yeah, just about. Excellent. Okay, cool. So for today's episode, we are going to revisit last week's hot topic, which unfortunately I had to just dip very, very quickly there. But yeah, we're gonna revisit last week's episode just a little bit, just to tie off a little bit of what we were speaking about there, and then we move on to this week's hot topic, which one of them is a personal gripe for me. It's a pet peeve, and it always gets me every single time I hear this. Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing, mate? Hope everything's going well on your side. Thank you for joining in the today's episode, even if it's just for a little while. Really appreciate the support, bud. So, like I said, we want to pick up from last week's topic, which was we were talking about track etiquette, and this stemmed from a post which I've seen on the Worldwide Drift RC group, which was posted by Drift Manji. I don't know if you know them or if you know the track, Sam. Drift Manji, yeah. So they posted up a few pictures of some damage to the track, and that whole post was quite, I'd say, quite contentious. Lots of people had stuff to say. You had a few people, obviously, who don't understand the entirety of running a track, maintaining a track, and all the costs and etc. that comes with it. So this was in partly in partial to a response to them as well. Um, so like we were saying last week, some of the new drivers, obviously they don't know, so we'll be a little bit more understanding towards them, and we'll educate them about track etiquette and about not running your tires at full throttle and doing circles, which ends up damaging the track. But some of it is also your well established, guys, your guys that's been drifting for a while. Hey, how's it, Martin? How you doing, my man? Thanks for joining in again. You can see things are looking a little bit different. The background's looking a bit different. Yeah, just in another spot. Slightly better lighting. I don't know whether I should move this thing forward or back, because if I pick my head up where it's more comfortable, then this the light is shining in my eyes. Let me see if I move it. Would that make any of a difference? Um, ow, 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 ow. Wow, what was that? Jeez. That is not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop this for a second. Yeah, that got some heating issues there with the light, but yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, hope this works. Let's see. So, Yeah, they're up north. Great check. We have had an influx of new people in the hobby with all the events we've been doing in the UK. So it's kind of, sorry, got something. Kind of understandable, but always needs reinforcing. Yeah, man. So I think that's an issue, of course. But happy to hear that you guys are getting more new enthusiasts in the game from doing events. I can tell you. I need to stop with the arms. Anyway, from doing events uh, locally here at automotive shows, car shows, things of that nature, I can tell you that we have had a lot of interest. I mean, like huge amounts of interest, which was great for the day. It was a lot of exposure, which was really nice. However, it never translated into actual drifters coming in. And this is just locally. This is not a reflection of what you guys are doing. Locally, we've just had the interest. We've never had it. It hasn't always translated into new drifters joining us. Out of all the years doing events, we've had maybe 3 or 4 actually join us from those events. Horrible, horrible. So eventually what we focus on more, instead of trying to attract new enthusiasts into the hobby, we just focused on what we were doing and concentrated more on having uh, having a good time, but also putting up a good show and giving as much exposure to the hobby as we could. Um, at one stage, it actually did turn out quite nice because there was a local car show called Ignition TV, and we just happened to get onto that channel, which was really really cool. It was quite an experience, and yeah, it was lekker. It was cool. So yeah, I think the the whole idea of a track etiquette, of tracks having these rules in place, it's not there just for nothing. It's not there to restrict you from having a good time. It's not there to limit what you want to do, limit your drifting day. It all has a purpose. It all has a reason. So I think people need to be a little bit more understanding into and open their minds into what it takes to run a track. And I hope that the track owners will try and push this a little bit more, and maybe once a month, once every 2 months, or even once every 3 months, maybe you have a little newsletter that you send out, just reminding everybody of the track etiquette if you see things going a little bit sideways, and perhaps also thanking all of the patrons for coming through and supporting the track, and then just remind them that as much as we appreciate you guys coming through, we just need to remind you of A, B, and C. So you could look at something like that. Now, before I move on to this week's hot topics, there's something that I have to show you guys, and obviously I gotta give a huge shout out to my boy, my good buddy Vivian from SRC. He just released this new product of his, and I managed to get my hands on one, and here it is in its packaging. Can you guys see? So I'm gonna show you guys now. This is his new chassis slash body bags that he's released. The The material is, I think it's polyester, but the quality is really really cool. It's not thin, so you can be assured that it's going to protect your prized body and your prized chassis. It's you got a neat drawstring handle here, drawstring handle, drawstring to close up the bag, and the paracord here is actually, it's really good quality. It's not, it doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels really 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 good. You can tell that Vivian hasn't, and as usual, we know that he produces really quality products. So you can see on one side he has the cool logo, and on the other side he has one of his newer logos, which is very very cool. The bag itself is actually quite big. I know I can't get it into the camera here, but don't worry, that'll change soon. You'll be able to see a lot more of me. But yeah, very very cool. It's definitely, look, I'll be straightforward also. It's not a necessity, but it's really really cool to have, especially if you really like to, especially if you really into protecting your equipment, protecting your chassis and your body. This is the perfect thing. I'm sure it's going to be available very very soon at your local hobby shops and local stockist SRC. So just remember, get your hands on one of these, because when it comes to some specialist products that Vivian produces, that SRC produces, they don't stay in stock long. Neither do they stay in stock at all. So sometimes he'll produce a product, and and like he'll have maybe one or two runs, and like that's it. So this is definitely very very cool. I know it's one of the very few body protection bags and chassis protection bags that's actually on the market. So this is definitely very very cool to have, especially for traveling as well. So huge shout out to Vivian for keep on pushing and getting and giving us more really really cool products. Get yours now also. Right, on to the next hot topic. Some may agree, some may disagree. You might like what I say, you might completely hate what I'm saying, but I absolutely dislike, yes, that's the right word, because I don't really hate. I absolutely dislike, and it just gets me all riled up when people talk about our RC cars as toys. And for the life of me, I can't understand why they call them toys, but I never refer to my RC cars as toys, because they are not toys. They are hobby grade remote or radio controlled cars that have advanced technology in them. They are not toys. Okay, maybe not advanced technology, but there's so much of R&D and thought and purpose into these RC cars that you can't merely refer to them as toys. When I look at toys, I think about stuff that you go and buy from a toy store, not a hobby shop, a toy store, or that large shopping retailer that has a toy section, and they've got these radio control cars. Those for me are toys, and I'm like, yeah, cool. But when it comes to these RC drift cars, they are hobby grade. They even tell you it's a hobby grade. So how is it a toy car? That always gets me. So anyway, then you've got this toy grade uh, versus hobby grade. So how do you reconcile that, or how do you feel about it? Okay, let's ask you three guys, 3 4 guys that's watching. What do you think? how do you refer it? Toy grade or hobby grade? Toy car or hobby car? Andy says big boys toys. Yes. Okay, big boys toys. Yeah, sure. I can joke with you because I get you. And thanks, Andy, so much. Thank you, bro. Yeah, yeah, it's coming. It's coming together. I just need to get some beard oil in there, neaten it up a little bit. But yeah, I think I'll keep it growing. um, yeah. So and I noticed uh, in certain chats and certain posts here and in groups, you'll get these one or two people who will call it, oh no, you guys are making such a big fuss over toy cars. It's just a toy car. It's toy car this, toy car that. I want to get up and like. Anyway, that's how it makes me feel. However, I completely disagree. You can't do that. You can't set up your toy car the way you set up your hobby car. The way you can't program your toy car the way you program your hobby car. You can't even go that fast. Neither can your toy car do what your hobby grade car does. Sam says, my missus is sure that. Isn't it always the case? Isn't it always the case? Martin says, I'd even go as far as calling it professional hobby grade. Yeah, see? So yeah, that's just my personal gripe. I absolutely dislike when people refer to the RC cars as hobby grade. I mean, as toy cars. It just turns me upside down, man. I absolutely don't like it. And I try to explain, but some people are not so open-minded like that to receive this kind of or be that open-minded to understand. For them, maybe RC drifting isn't such a big deal. It's just another thing that they do. But for me, and perhaps a lot of other people who are in the hobby, they look at RC drifting in a much more, in a much bigger way. Like I look at RC drifting in a much more holistic way. Um, in I don't just look at I have my car. I'm going to tune my car, maybe build a body, put it on the chassis, tune the chassis, get on the track, have fun, and come off. So maybe it's because I look at it as more than that. You know, I look at how much it has done for me personally, both mentally and emotionally and physically, and how much of self self-esteem and self-confidence it's given me, especially like doing a podcast. I would have never done a podcast before. I'm actually terrible, or I used to be really really bad at public speaking and like making videos or going live like this. But RC drifting has given me the confidence to do all of that and more. So it's really brought a balance. So that's why I hate looking at, or I hate it when, or really disliking, disliking it when people refer to RC cars as toy cars. And that's my personal guide. Drifting saved my life. True story. Oh man, I'd love to actually hear that story, Andy. Perhaps one day we can have a chat about it on the podcast if you ever feel up to it, or perhaps we can just chat about it aside from that. But yeah, I can definitely believe you on that. I can definitely believe you on that. So I think I'd love to know what you guys have to say about it as well, about toy grade versus hobby grade, and Yes and no, or what do you refer to it as? Do you feel the same way, or do you disagree with what I've said, or maybe you agree? I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Well, we know what Andy says, so let's do it. Let's get emotional. Not straight away, bro. Let's set up a time and a date and everything, and then we'll get to it. We have to yeah, even mentally prepare for that session. It will be very cool though. You know, we should do a little group session. Myself, you, uh, Rob, Nick. I know he'll really enjoy that, and whoever else wants to join. Maybe Sam. Sam, would you you want to join? Anybody else? Yes, yes, yes. Let's talk about it. Let us talk about it. The new Kyosho seems to be a bridge between toy grade or hobby grade, isn't it? As long as we understand each other, Andy. Cool. Okay, so yes, I have been looking at the new Kyosho D something or the other, and so far the most and look, I know it's a bit of it might seem a bit uh, what's the word am I looking for? Like not well thought through, but from what I've seen, the body seems to be the best part about that. Seems to be the most exciting part about the chassis with the flip up lights and everything, and it's pretty cool. Uh, but to say that it's the bridge between the toy grade, how so? How do you mean? Do you mean like it's right there between toy grade and hobby grade? Because if that's the case, they're not exactly the first to do that, because there's like W what WPL or WL toys, with that Kai truck that everybody was getting. Thanks so much, Andy. Really appreciate it, man. You are the MVP of today's episode, brother. You are the MVP. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for also joining in the podcast for this long. I really, really appreciate it. It's it's taken me a while to get up to get the strength back to do the podcast and launch the page again after my original page was hacked. And but anyway, I seem to be having some connectivity issues for some reason. I am going to absolutely wail on my service provider tomorrow, because this is nonsense. Anywho, we were saying new Kyosho seems to be a bridge between toy grade and hobby grade. I don't know if I fully agree with that, because we all know Kyosho to be an established brand who's been around for a long, long time. And yes, it's taken them quite a while to get into the rear-wheel drive drifting scene, but I think we can all agree that they they will be bringing in their experience in RC to develop this chassis. Be that as it may, they are very, very late to the scene. So we may see uh, some features that will be looking very familiar. And I can also understand that they want to try and avoid that and try and do their own version of things. So I think, to be fair, to give them a chance. Whoops, to give them a chance, the only real thing we can do is wait until they release their chassis in order for them to, or in order for us to have or to give a proper what's to give a proper review. We'll give it a chance. We'll see what it's all about. It's like when the D10 came out and the Fortec came out, everybody was like, "Ooh, what is this now?" From Traxxas and Team Associated, and everybody got like really excited. However, after the chassis were released, they're like, okay, it's not too bad. It's decent. It can work. We can do some things with it. So maybe this is the same thing with the Kyosho. I can't say that they're really taking their time to release it because they've had all this time, but perhaps because they are releasing it, they are just trying to make sure that they want to give the public the best possible version of their car that they can do. So we just have to wait and see what the outcome of that will be, and hopefully it'll be cool. So who knows? Who knows? So I'm gonna try this again. Try to do this. Ow, jeepers. I mean, it seems okay. Let's see, for a little while, or just a few minutes more. So, once again, thank you everyone for joining in to the B Rock RC Show, Season 6, Episode 4. We picked up a little bit about toy grade versus hobby grade. I think my light is going to burn out here. So, we're putting it on for a few minutes. Nope. I am not prepared to take this chance. Nope. I don't know why it's doing that, but I don't like it. Anyway, we're going to keep going. So the last part of this podcast I wanted to discuss, and we don't have to go into we don't have to go very in depth with it. It's gyro versus non-gyro drifting. Now this is another contentious another contentious topic, which there's some absolute extremist purists out there who have this opinion that using a gyro defeats the purpose of drifting and it goes against drifting, and they have so much to say about how gyro is doing all the drifting for you and it's not real drifting because you're using gyro and blah blah blah, etc etc. But we all know that in order to have a really good drift, a well-controlled proper drift, you need a gyro, and there's a reason why you need a gyro, which we all know. I don't think I need to go into the details of that. However, be that as it may, nothing's ever really impossible until you give it a shot. Now, Steve, which many of you guys may know, Steve from Super G Drift, he has been working on a non-gyro rear-wheel drive chassis for quite a while. And when I say a non-gyro rear-wheel drive chassis, I mean that he's been working on drifting a rear-wheel drive chassis without a gyro as an experiment to see if you actually can do it. And I'm a little bit honored that he has let me in, or he's kept me up to date with this experiment, and he's also explained to me and shared with me a few videos of the non-gyro drifting and how it's working out. Sam says my hands are not fast enough to not run a gyro. Oh, dude, that makes two of us. I mean, look at the gray in my beard. Does this tell you that there's anything quick about me? So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I have been convinced that non-gyro drifting is possible. It certainly is possible. I've seen the video. For many years, it hasn't been possible. And the reason it hasn't been possible was because of the technology was still being developed. The ideas were still being developed. So now that we've reached a point where the technology is kind of caught up and we're able to implement these ideas, it's definitely possible that you can drift without a gyro rear wheel drive. Now, are you going to have fun drifting this car, or are you going to just be fighting this chassis all the time? The answer for me is you're going to be fighting this chassis a lot. You're going to be fighting it more than you're going to be drifting it. Is he running a large rear weight? I don't think he's running a large rear weight, but he certainly is running additional weights on the chassis. If I'm not mistaken, he's running dual servos as well. So perhaps that is aiding in having to drift without a gyro. I need to revisit his messages and maybe have a refresher chat with him about it and see where he's at. And I can bring you all of that information in next week's episode. Ideally, I won't say ideally, but it would be interesting uh, to see a category of non-gyro rear-wheel drive just on their own, up until such time that you never know, maybe we'll shift over to non-gyro drifting. I don't know. At one stage, we didn't even think we'd get to rear-wheel drive drifting, even though the idea may have been there. So, who knows what the future holds. And I hope that there will be more of this. And when I say more of this, I mean more people pushing the boundaries of RC drifting, pushing the ideas, coming up with new, fresh ideas of how to evolve RC drifting into something more than it could be. These are the kinds of minds and people we need in the industry in order for the greater community to enjoy the hobby, because these are the kinds of people that are coming up with crazy tech and shocks and electronics, and now we've got new Furitech ESCs with the LCD display, and they also want to introduce a built-in gyro in there and all sorts of stuff. So even though the idea may seem a bit silly, but when you think about it from a broader perspective, you actually realize that this silly idea has a potential to lead into something magnificent, so these kinds of people are needed, and we as the community need to support these people. We need to entertain their ideas, whether we agree with it or not, but we need to be open-minded enough to receive what they are doing and what they are trying to do. And with that, I will end this podcast for today. As you might have noticed, this season 6 podcasts are cut down to like about half the time. And I think it's working out a little bit better because the 1 hour podcasts are a little bit too long. Soon I will also update my Spotify channel. At the moment, it's only up to season 2, and I don't understand it because I had up to season 5 uploaded, and I don't know what happened. But nonetheless, I will update Spotify with the rest of the audio files, and also start uploading season 6 onto YouTube, and then obviously onto Spotify. Once again, thank you very much to everybody who's joined in and has listened to the B-Rock RC show. Also, shout out to Andy, Sam, and Martin for coming through and joining the podcast, man. Really appreciate you guys. And don't forget SRC chassis body protector bags. These things are super cool, man. Besides them being that cool, I also got it for that logo. I absolutely love the logo. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining into today's episode of the B-Rock RC Show, a live podcast for the drifters by a drifter. I will catch you guys next week, same time, same place, right here. Cheers. Peace.